Okay, day 135 and Vault 7's out, and I'll cover that in this part one. Let's go ahead and keep sending to Mark Levin show because he's trying to catch a spy right now, and I think this may be appropriate. As I've mentioned before in this series, Hillary gave weapons to Muslim Brotherhood in many different countries, Libya and Syria, the two that we know about most, with Stinger missiles and sarin gas. And this point I've made over and over, but these things used to be like wiretapping capabilities and so forth, and cyber weapons for hacking used to be kept inside the FBI and the CIA. But this morning we find out that about $100 billion worth of cyber tools were given to hacker groups. And the Awan group is just one hacker group inside the United States. So here's the summary. Vault 7 is about hacker tools. It's about 5,000 people in Langley, Virginia, and there's a big installation in Frankfurt as well. $100 billion investment, but now they've lost control, and now those tools are out there. Well, this is I don't think that they just lost control. I think this was a proliferation strategy for worldwide groups like the Gulen group that I talked about yesterday. So if you don't remember the story, it was basically setting up the Trump server to make it look like he was communicating with Russian banks, but there was also this interesting third party out of Grand Rapids, Michigan called Spectrum Health, which I drilled down on, and the author of this article was Trump server communicating with Russia. I want him to give me the actual IP address so we can figure out where this hacking came from, because I believe the hacking came from Spectrum Health. This server only communicated with two different people, the Russian banks and Spectrum Health. So the hacking had to come from somewhere. Now, it's true that the hackers could have got another server and then got to this server and then started sniffing on this server and found out all the other applications and servers and then users that way. But for right now, I know that Spectrum Health was involved. Anyway, they were trying to set up the thing to look like, okay, Trump's communicating with Russian banks. And then we would go to this court of FISA, and we would say, well, it looks like human activity, not robot activity, and then they would issue the warrant. As soon as Loretta Lynch comes out with a sworn statement saying she didn't do that, I'll believe her. As I said, Spectrum Health, based in Grand Rapids, Michigan, is an odd provider because they seem to not be so much concentrating on the hospitals and so forth, even though I think Helen DeVos Hospital is in Cedar Rapids. But they really concentrate on getting addicts, to these kind of places where they can kind of get off addiction and so forth. But they really push the Suboxone. And my theory is this: unlike the old illicit trade from Pakistan, this is the new legal trade of basically the drug trade from Pakistan has just gone legal. They're trying to convert as much over, and the problem is there's a lot of opioid overdoses that come out of this, and so that's where I want to drill down on Spectrum Health. I'm looking for that, following the money basically. And this Fethullah Gulen, I don't know if people know about him, but the long ties with Hillary Clinton, kind of took over Turkey in 2002. And he's got $25 billion. He lives in an armed camp about 3 hours away from Washington, about an hour and a half away from New York. You don't accumulate $25 billion by selling falafels. That's the drug trade. He got from 2002 to 2014, that's where he made that money. Now that Turkish route, the Turkish express route for drugs, was cut off, and when Gulen and Erdogan had a falling out. So now this drug trade is now coming through the Pakistani pipeline. So again, anytime I see huge wealth with drugs, and then I see people who are in the United States promoting kind of a lot of science and education and hacking, Muzaffar Awan is that man in the United States. He's Gulen's man here in the United States. Again, this was the old illicit drug trade with Amjad Awan, and we know all the, Iran-Contra and so forth, and Hillary's involvement with the Mina Airport and guns in one direction and drugs in the other direction. And he was convicted for 12 years of money laundering. So again, when you're trying to find a spy, you look for people who want top secret access, like the Awan's got from Spear. You look for burglaries to cover up things. You look for lots of different powerful people, like these 31 Democrats being on all these different important committees. You look for congressmen that have past histories of corruption. You look for intermediary meetings with the Russian ambassador on the uranium and the Iran deal. And so these are things still we haven't explored. You also look for things like when you have 20 different break-ins and you have an external server. When there was a case here where there was just one kid going into, Aaron Schwartz going into one server room, and the FBI published his picture. They published the movie of him putting the thumb drive in and so forth. But in this case, where there's 6 different Awans with who knows how many different servers and 3 key intelligence agencies' computers and an external server, we have no information. They won't publish the photos. They won't publish the computer room videos. This was what leads me to believe that this is a CIA thing. This is a state secrets thing. Because if this was real, the FBI would be all over this, like they were all over Aaron Schwartz. And that's where they're getting covered. That's why they're letting the Capitol Police slowfoot this. That's my theory. Because otherwise they'd be publishing the phone logs, they'd be publishing their picture, they'd be publishing these tapes of the server room, etc. So, again, past connections to Hezbollah, past connections to the Russian ambassador, and here's the 3 brothers, very high pay, 3 times higher pay than normal staffers. So the financial anomalies are there. I believe you're going to find that the meetings with oil and defense people are there, people who would gain by getting intelligence, by getting hacked intelligence. These are going to be the daily press briefings and the resource assessments that the CIA does, et cetera, the political assessments the CIA does, analysis they do. And again, this cover-up of Hillary server, Humus server, as well as the connections between the Awan server and those servers is another obvious sign that it's FBI is covering up for state secrets. And maybe that's where McCabe can get off the hook and say, hey, I'm just protecting state secrets. But what you're not really protecting U.S. state secrets, you're protecting groups like the Golan's secrets, the tools that they have stolen from us that they're using. That's who's being protected here when you're protecting Hillary's server and Humus server. You're not really protecting the interests of the United States. It's not really U.S. state secrets. It's Gulen and Hillary's state secrets, or Humus and Muslim Brotherhood state secrets.